leaders.
World leaders descending on Washington as the NATO summit gets underway.
I think I'm the most qualified person to run for president. I beat him once, and I will beat him again. I'm not in this for my legacy. I'm in this to complete the job I started.
So we may be in the dog days of summer, but ballots are on my mind as Election Day inches ever closer. As Biden continues to surge forward with the goal of keeping the Oval Office, he repeatedly told his supporters during a fiery rally last night in Detroit, he's not going anywhere.
For the longest time, I was too young because I was the second youngest man ever elected to the United States Senate. And anyway. And now I'm too old. But I know, hopefully, with a little bit of age comes a little bit of wisdom. And hopefully that in this moment, I think the alternative is not much of an alternative. And I do think ethics matter. I do think decency matters. I do think we should reflect with the American. We're an optimistic, we're a decent, we're an honorable country.
Joining me now here on set, Virginia Congresswoman Jennifer McClellan, a member of the Congressional Black Caucus. Congresswoman, thank you for the honor of joining me this morning. I mean, look, you had President Biden handle a critically important NATO summit. A day later, go and handle not only that, what we just saw, the town hall kind of format, but also that huge fiery rally we saw in Detroit. 40,000 donations came in just during that press conference alone on Thursday night. Is there any doubt to remain that the presidential nominee for the Democratic Party is President Joe Biden?
Well, he's made clear that he's running, and he said after the debate, which we all know was terrible, that when you get knocked down, you get back up and you keep fighting. And that's what he's doing. And a lot of us, particularly in the Black Caucus, we've got his back because he's had ours. And we're going to continue to do everything we can to ensure that come November, we are reelecting Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, and we're sending Donald Trump into retirement.
Yeah, you know, Congresswoman, I posted yesterday on my Twitter account that the Democratic Party has always been known as the big tent party. There's always supposed to be room for everybody. But I felt like the recent very loud naysayers don't represent the entirety of the party, and that the shared values that apply to the voters is really what counts. And so when it comes down to the wire, it's got to be Biden in that office when it comes to the values that are going to be a reflection of the Democratic Party.
That's right. And look, 14 million Democrats voted for him to be our nominee. I have been talking to a wide variety of voters in my own district, in my state of Virginia. I've traveled to Michigan. I've been in New Orleans. I've been here in New York. And the base is with him. And it is particularly in the Black community. Labor has made clear they are with him. We have our eyes on the prize.
Yeah.
Our eyes are on the fact that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris as a team brought this country from the brink of disaster that Donald Trump put us in, and that they need to finish the job in building an economy that leaves no one behind, that they need to protect our freedoms, which are under attack. And the alternative is very clear. We have a former president who has made clear he will be a dictator on day one. He has a playbook of exactly what he's going to do and how he's going to do it in the Heritage Foundation's Project 2025, created by people who worked for Donald Trump. The RNC adopted a platform that mirrors a lot of what's in Project 2025. And now we have a Supreme Court that has said, we are going to give you the leeway to do whatever you want, even if it breaks the law, to achieve your goals. And that is an America I don't want to live in, and I don't want my children or my grandchildren to live in. We know what's at stake, and we are going to do everything we can to make sure that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are reelected, that we take back the House and we keep the Senate.
Congresswoman, last night, President Biden laid out his second-term agenda. Amazing highlights would include restoring Roe v. Wade, raising minimum wage, banning assault weapons, leading the world on clean energy, a permanent child tax credit, $35 insulin cap for all. I could go on, and I think one of the most important ones, honestly, is the signing of the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. These are feasible goals for a second Biden administration?
They are feasible goals, but they are going to require that we have the House and we keep the Senate. Because I have seen right now MAGA Republicans in the House who have thwarted every opportunity to make progress in achieving those goals, that they are trying to roll back the progress that we have made, not just in the first 2 years of the Biden-Harris administration. We had one colleague who said he wanted to roll us back to the 1960s. And so we need to make sure this is a team effort, that not just are we reelecting Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, because they've gone as far as they can go with the administrative authority that they have. But folks, I think we need to understand we also need control of the legislative branch. And when we take back the House, we will be, and when we keep the Senate, we will be in a position to do the things that he laid out that are incredibly popular with the American people.
With all American people, and that is important. Congresswoman Jennifer McClellan, thank you again for the honor of joining me on my show. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. And joining me now, Florida Congressman Jared Moskowitz, a member of the House Oversight and Foreign Affairs Committees. Congressman Moskowitz, you just heard from Jennifer McClellan talking about how important it is that you have the House and the Senate, not just the Oval, to get that second-term agenda done. Considering the fact that Project 2025 is the blueprint for a next Republican administration, how is this not a binary choice between a democracy with Joe Biden and a dictatorship with Donald Trump?
Well, look, Project 2025 is a 920-page manifesto. It looks like it was written potentially by the Unabomber or maybe Hannibal Lecter, which is why Donald Trump keeps bringing him up. I mean, it's coming for women's rights. It's coming for birth control. It's coming for Social Security. It's coming for Medicare. It's coming for gay marriage. Trump is distancing himself from it, but 140 people that have been associated with him have been part of drafting this. I'm willing to bet Trump hasn't read it at all because, he's not a reader. But they're trying to ban porn, which for someone who opened up the first strip club in a casino in Donald Trump, I find very fascinating. And so, look, that is what's on the ballot. All of your rights, society as you know it, is on the ballot. And the reason he's distancing himself from it is because he knows how toxic it is. But look, this is the guy, right? The Ministry of Truth. He's the guy who said, I never met E. Jean Carroll, or I never slept with Stormy Daniels. Project 2025. Never heard of that. Soon he's going to say he knows nothing about Eric Trump, which, that's probably true.
Congressman, look, we have spent a lot of time talking about, in the media, about President Biden stumbling. And I would actually hazard the statement that there's people within your own party that have stumbled along the way. It appears very clearly, we've heard it from President Biden, he's not going anywhere, but the down ballot races are important, are they not? And so why is there not now a coalition, a coalescence, of all interests in making sure that Decision 2024 isn't just a referendum on Donald Trump, but it's also a referendum on all other GOP candidates or opponents of Democratic candidates?
No, that's right. And in fact, you've seen a shift over the last couple of weeks since the terrible, awful debate, is that this is now becoming a referendum on Joe Biden, and Democrats have to turn this back into a referendum on Donald Trump. I mean, look, I'm not calling for President Biden to get out of the race. I mean, you're talking about someone who's had 50 years of public service. I'd put his public service record up against any living politician, elected official right now in the country. But, look, if you lose the presidency and you lose the House and you lose the Senate, you basically lose the whole country to Donald Trump. Not only is the country never going to forgive you, but that's what you're going to be remembered for. So the stakes are high for the country. The stakes are high for President Biden. I don't know that he's been well served by his inner circle. There's been no accountability, quite frankly, since that debate. But what I saw actually in Detroit at the rally the other day gives me some optimism, because, I think Dems have to improve on our comms game. We have not, as a party, understood how you communicate. We've been out-communicated by Donald Trump. He proved that during his whole trials. I think that's why you've seen the Oversight Committee, which I serve on with Jamie Raskin and Jasmine Crockett and Dan Goldman and Robert Garcia and Maxwell Frost and AOC. I think you've seen us out-communicate the Republicans, which is why that committee and the fake faux Biden impeachment hasn't worked. Last night, Joe Biden, I think, started doing that, started taking it to Donald Trump, started being a little sarcastic, a little humor. We have to make this slightly more entertaining. 24 million people tuned in to his press conference. That's almost 50% of the people who watched the debate. We got to make Joe Biden must-watch TV. This is just the times we live in. And so, look, right now, I think the Biden campaign is kind of like the Boeing Starliner. It's stranded. It, might be leaving people behind. And the question is whether it's fixable. And we're going to see that, I think, over the next couple of weeks as we lead into the convention.
Congressman, before I have to let you go, I will note the following, though. People like you, Jasmine Crockett and Jamie Raskin, when you serve on the Oversight Committee, you are uniquely positioned to be able to see what happens when you have the weaponization of committees on behalf of Donald Trump. Let's be perfectly clear. Comer, Jordan, that whole crew, they're all doing it for Donald Trump. But I've also seen people that have had divisions and interests with Biden come together and say that they're going to support his candidacy. How important is it to make sure that the right man is in the Oval Office?
Well, look, if the Republicans not just get the executive branch, but they wind up having the House as well, and potentially the Senate, there'll be no breaks. There'll be no breaks on Donald Trump. These people are scared of Donald Trump. They're scared of him sending out a tweet. It will be whatever Donald Trump wants. And even worse, whatever the people he puts in power in these positions want. Let's be clear. This is not going to be like the first administration where you have some people you disagreed with, but they were qualified people. These are going to be the most loyal, the most extreme people trying to get into the administration. So the quality of the person you have matters, especially now with the new Supreme Court giving additional power to the presidency.
Absolutely. Congressman Jared Moskowitz, it's good to see you. As always, thanks for being here.
Thanks, Katie.
And still to come on the Katie Phang Show, case dismissed. The stunning turn of events in the involuntary manslaughter case against actor Alec Baldwin and why the judge agreed to throw it out entirely. Plus, Trump's Hail Mary, how the felon ex-president is now trying to use the recent Supreme Court's immunity ruling to suppress any damning evidence against him from coming out to you to hear before November. Keep it right here.
I own a lot of businesses, so my tech and my network need to keep up. Thank you, Verizon Business.
Now our businesses get fast and reliable internet from the same network that powers our phones.
So whatever's next, we're cooking with fire.
Switch to the partner businesses rely on.
Home Aglow showed up right on time and did my dishes, my laundry. They even cleaned my windows. I love that you just pick a date, pick a cleaner, and enjoy a spotless house for $19.
Back pain. When you've got it, you know it. Introducing the X-Back from CopperFit, our groundbreaking technology designed for compression support of your lower back and core like you've never experienced before. Engineered with our most innovative, patent-pending, Advanced X compression system. The X-Back evenly distributes the support across a broader surface area of your back for relief of lower back aches and pains.
The new belt is fantastic. I feel a bigger area of support. Immediately, there was something different about this.
A super lightweight mesh fabric, ventilated for unmatched breathability to increase airflow and release excess heat.
You have to try it. You haven't felt anything that's going to give you the kind of support and relieve the back pain that you have, because it is unbelievable.
Our copper-infused fabric, made with the most advanced materials for superior support and lighter than air comfort.
It's just relaxing all that tension that you get.
Wow, oh, that feels great.
I've tried a lot of belts in the past. Nothing like this.
I have a history of back issues, man, and this is really hard to believe what I'm feeling right now.
An orthopedic-designed alloy support panel and 4 built-in flexible stabilizers to help improve alignment and promote better posture.
Usually when I have long triathlons, there's pain. With the belt, there's absolutely no pain. For me, it was like, okay, is this really happening? I really haven't felt anything like this before.
The all-new X-Back from CopperFit, the most effective, breathable, customizable support for relief of lower back pain you will ever wear. Guaranteed or your money back. Get yours now at getxback.com for only 2 payments of $29.99 or call 1-800-254-4203. Order right now and your shipping is free.
This is by far the best support that I have found.
You feel like, you conquered the world. It's life-changing.
The all-new X-Back from Copperfit. Feel the difference.
Waterline broke. Replacing could cost thousands. Not covered by homeowners insurance.
Honey, wake up. Here's Tom Rusin, CEO of HomeServe.
A plan from HomeServe pays for the covered repair cost for water lines, and we send a qualified contractor. The American dream of owning a home doesn't need to be a nightmare.
Sleep well with HomeServe.
Plans from HomeServe start at just $7.99 a month.
Call 1-800-355-9395 or visit homeserve.com.
This is the story of the one. The one who believes being prepared is not just a way of life. It's how he helps everyone stay safe. He sweats the small stuff before it becomes big stuff. For the one, being an unsung hero in a building full of everyday heroes is just how he likes it. The industrial-grade products you need delivered fast. Call, click Grainger.com or stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
A stunning turn of events in the Alec Baldwin Rust trial. The judge on Friday afternoon dismissing with prejudice the involuntary manslaughter case against the actor, citing the prosecution's efforts to suppress key evidence in the trial. Baldwin, who was facing up to 18 months in prison, was openly emotional after Judge Mary Marlowe Sommer announced her ruling. Baldwin, however, still faces civil lawsuits from the family of cinematographer Halen Hutchins, as well as from crew members.
But the Supreme Court came out with an incredible decision this week, and I have great respect for the courage that they've shown. They have great intellect and great insight, incredible insight. They got it.
The twice impeached, quadruple indicted, convicted for 34 felonies, found liable by a jury of his peers for sexual abuse, and presumptive Republican Party nominee, and out on bail, Donald Trump, rambling at a rally in Miami this week after the super conservative majority at the United States Supreme Court granted him immunity for, quote, official acts. Now he's arming himself with that decision in his many legal battles. In a new filing on Thursday, Trump argued that his guilty verdict in the election interference hush money case should be tossed after the immunity decision. And there's new exclusive reporting from The Guardian indicating that he's planning on using that immunity ruling to try to block evidentiary hearings in his federal election interference case. Joining me now, Christy Greenberg, former federal prosecutor, and Hugo Lowell, political investigations reporter at The Guardian. My thanks to both of you for being here. Christy, I'm going to hijack the segment for just a second to talk about Rust, because I really want people to understand why that case got dismissed the way it did right when they were in the midst of a jury trial.
Right. So about a few months ago in March, a witness comes into the sheriff's office and says, we have live ammunition that's related to this Rust shooting that Alec Baldwin is now on trial for. And what did the prosecutor do? I mean, what they should have done was immediately turn that over to the defense, let them know that this witness existed, let them know about this ammunition so they could inspect it. Instead, they buried it in a case file on a different number and never told the defense about it. It's critical evidence. It's evidence that could have been, and apparently was after inspection by the judge, favorable to the defense. And so the fact that the prosecutors did not disclose that evidence until the middle of the trial when this came out was enough for the judge to say, this was in bad faith. There's no way for the court to correct this prejudice. And so I'm dismissing the case with prejudice, which means they can't go back and charge him again.
And it was especially because the jury had already been sworn, and so double jeopardy had attached, correct?
Yes, correct.
All righty. Okay, so now we're going to go to the immunity thing. Hugo, you had exclusive reporting in The Guardian about the plan for Trump Legal to weaponize the immunity ruling from SCOTUS, to be able to use it to make sure that Americans don't hear the evidence that otherwise would be presented in a jury trial, but they don't hear it before November. What's kind of the grand scheme that's going on there?
Well, the grand scheme is that the evidence that could come out of an evidentiary hearing where they go through a fact-finding analysis with potential live witnesses on the stand could be politically very damaging. I mean, it will be reported. It will be reported in the way that the January 6th committee hearings were reported. And I think there is a sense inside, Trump's legal team that they want to foreclose this at the outset. And so they will do everything they can, first of all, to not have any hearings at all. And they will argue to Judge Chutkan that this can be resolved on kind of legal arguments and their briefs. and they don't need witnesses to say this was candidate Trump acting versus President Trump acting. And if Judge Chutkan does order hearings with witnesses, they have a plan for that as well, which is to say, well, anyone that was close to Trump in the White House, we're going to assert executive privilege. We know it's already been litigated before, but we're going to relitigate it anyway. And then as for people like John Eastman and these people on the fringes who weren't part of the federal government, they'll say, well, some of these guys have been charged in Fulton County and other jurisdictions. Fifth Amendment concerns, can't have them testify at all, and they just want to shut down any notion of these guys testifying about Trump's conduct around January 6th.
But Christy, didn't they do that when they presented their briefs to the Supreme Court? And the Supreme Court said, through the majority opinion, you need to have a hearing so Chutkan can decide what's really official or not.
Throughout this opinion, the Supreme Court really was lambasting, I think, the lower court for not doing more fact-finding. Like, there were various points where you're saying, like, look, you guys sped this up, you didn't develop the factual record, and we need more facts. Multiple times, you need fact-specific analysis. They say it over and over again. So this idea that we're just going to submit briefs and that'll be the end of it, no, Judge Chutkan has her marching orders. She has to hold hearings. She has to get to the facts. That is what the Supreme Court directed her to do, and I expect she's going to roll up her sleeves and do it quickly. She will have some briefing in advance. And yes, I imagine there'll be some fights of who is available. But again, as Hugo said, a lot of this has been litigated before. Issues of executive privilege have been litigated. I expect those hearings will happen before the election.
And I will say executive privilege is not new territory. It is established law, although the Supreme Court does stuff a little bit differently these days when it comes to precedent. But it is established law, which kind of dovetails to, Hugo, something you and I are always covering all these Trump things together. We're in the Mar-a-Lago case. We were just in Fort Pierce a couple of weeks ago. As predicted, we saw the immunity decision being deployed by Trump Legal to say, guess what? We need to be able to have some briefing on this. Jack Smith yesterday filing a response to Trump's notice of supplemental authority, the authority being this Clarence Thomas concurrence, talking about the appointment of special counsel Jack Smith and relying upon that concurrence. But Jack Smith saying, no, you should disregard it. I mean, what are your thoughts about this filing?
The line from the special counsel in this filing was particularly biting, and it was, just because a single justice has opined on something that wasn't briefed and wasn't at issue in the January 6th case is not binding on you, Judge Cannon. And that was what they set forth in their filing. And I think that's probably the smartest way to go about it, because Trump's lawyers have fixated on that Clarence Thomas line as a sort of off-ramp for Judge Cannon. And they want Judge Cannon now to be able to say, well, if Clarence Thomas, who's the Supreme Court Justice for the 11th Circuit, which is her circuit, saying, maybe there are questions over the appointment of the special counsel, then that would give her an out to do so. And I think for the special counsel to focus on that line was probably the smartest way that they could have proceeded.
Yeah, and Christy, what they also say, Jack Smith says, single justice concurrence addressing an issue that Trump did not raise, that the parties did not brief, and that was not relevant to the question presented to or decided by the court, neither binds this court nor provides a basis to deviate. But this is Aileen Cannon. This is Clarence Thomas. We all saw that concurrence, scratched our head, but said, here we go. This is totally what Cannon was waiting for.
I think it was. But just taking a step back, this is so unusual. You don't typically find a Supreme Court justice where there is not an issue squarely before them. It hasn't been briefed by the parties. It's not raised by either party. Writing a concurring opinion on something that, nobody's even argued or raised. So that is highly unusual. And it does seem like he was doing it for a purpose. He knows this issue is live before Judge Cannon. And it seems clear to me that he wanted her to look at it and see what he had to say about it. And cut and paste.
Yeah. I mean, but Hugo, there's another issue, though. Do you think then Cannon is going to order evidentiary hearings to occur based upon the immunity decision? This idea of, is there something official about the hoarding, stealing, and keeping, and the refusal to turn back over classified documents?
That's a really interesting thought, I think, because if there is one judge who is dead set on holding hearings.
By the way.
She loves hearings.
Yes.
And she loves having non-parties brief. We had amicus briefs in a recent hearing. And even she, I think, after a while was regretting allowing so many people to kind of testify before her. But if there is one judge who I think will be so amenable to evidentiary hearings, it is Judge Cannon, ironically. And if that is the undoing of the case, because all these FBI agents testify and say, this is not official conduct for a president after his term to abscond with classified documents, and that gets reported, that would be the greatest irony in all of these cases.
She is hearing happy. She is a hearing happy judge. I do think the off-ramp, though, for her is granting the motion to dismiss on the special counsel appointment and letting that one wind its way as good as Christy Greenberg, Hugo Lowell. Thank you guys for being here on set. It's good to see you both. And coming up, convention countdown, looking ahead to Monday's kickoff to the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee and the unusual legal risk Donald Trump may have to navigate while he's in attendance. Want more? That's coming up next.
Are your headlights cloudy and oxidized, making your car look bad? Are they underperforming when you need them most? Cerakote's Headlight Restoration Kit restores weathered headlights back to like new and keeps them that way for life. Stop wasting your time with solutions that don't last. Cerakote's kit includes everything you need to go from this to this. Simply wipe away oxidation, give them a light sanding, and apply the ceramic coating. That's it. The True Ceramic technology does the rest. Buy any of Cerakote's #1 selling ceramic products for under $20 at these leading retailers today.
This summer, we're in a race against time as temperatures rise. Abused and neglected animals across the country are suffering right now in the unbearable, scorching heat. They're thirsty and panting, chained outside with no water, and many are desperately trying to hang on for just one more day.
Extreme heat can have a major impact on animals, and we see that all the time. You know, without shade, to be without shelter, without adequate water, and basically just left out there dealing with the baking sun all day.
Will you come forward to help save an animal in distress today? Visit joinaspca.org, call this toll-free number, or scan the code on your screen to be counted for this life-saving appeal. Donate now, and with your gift of just $19 a month, you can help save an animal's life this summer. Go online, call, or scan now. It's just 63 cents a day. We will put your gift to work right away, rescuing animals who might not survive if we don't get to them soon. But the situation is urgent, and tomorrow could be too late for an animal who is suffering in the sweltering heat right now.
And in my mind, one more hour is not acceptable. Right? These animals have suffered enough.
If there ever was a time, this is it. So if you sign up in the next 10 minutes, we'll send you this free welcome kit, including this beautiful t-shirt for taking action right away to save an animal's life this summer. We're in a race against time to reach vulnerable animals who are barely hanging on. Help rescue an animal today. Go online, call, or scan right now.
Hi, I'm Jay Jackson. For almost 20 years, Abacus Life has been purchasing life insurance policies from seniors. And in just seconds, you can use the free calculator at abacuspays.com to learn what your policy might be worth.
For many of my clients, selling their life insurance to Abacus was right for them and their estate plan.
Don't sell or lapse your policy without going to abacuspays.com first. There are no fees and no obligations. Get the real value from your life insurance when you need it with Abacus.
After Homoglow cleaned our place for $19, we fired our old housekeeper. Homoglow tackled everything from our kitchen to our bathroom, all our laundry. You just pick a date, pick a cleaner, and enjoy a spotless house for $19.
DealDash.com. Online auctions since 2009. This PlayStation 5 sold for only 50 cents. This iPad Pro sold for less than $34. And this Nintendo Switch sold for less than $20. Go to DealDash.com and see how much you can save.
I managed to get the last room for $190.
I booked the last room a week ago.
I booked yesterday. Some sites panic you into booking their last room. Instead, Trivago compares hotel prices from hundreds of sites, so you can save up to $50 a night. Hotel Trivago.
I own a lot of businesses, so my tech and my network need to keep up. Thank you, Verizon Business.
Now our businesses get fast and reliable internet from the same network that powers our phones.
So whatever's next, we're cooking with fire.
Switch to the partner businesses rely on.
In less than 2 days, Republicans will descend upon Milwaukee, the city that Donald Trump once called horrible. Remember that? For that party's national convention. Republicans released a list of more than 24 speakers they've labeled, quote, everyday Americans, including former Democrats and immigration-focused speakers. NBC News can also confirm that former rival Florida Governor Ron DeSantis will be in attendance. But there is no speaking slot for the former governor of South Carolina, who came closest to bruising Trump in the primary. In fact, a longtime senior aide to Nikki Haley acknowledged that she was not invited to the convention, but said she's fine with that. Joining me now, Basil Smikle Jr., former executive director of the New York State Democratic Party, professor of practice at the Columbia University School of Professional Studies, and a Democratic strategist. Also joining us, Molly Jong-Fast, the host of the Fast Politics podcast, a special correspondent for Vanity Fair, and she's also an MSNBC political analyst. Thanks to both of you for being here. Basil, you're on set, so you get teed up first. Okay, so we're going to find out who the VP pick is for Donald Trump. Burgum, again, somebody nobody really knows, including me. J.D. Vance, Marco Rubio. I'd even say Tim Scott, but even that I'm reluctantly using. But we do know Don Jr. is very close to J.D. Vance, and we hear that Don Jr. is going to be the one who's going to be introducing J.D. Vance. Are we reading tea leaves too much here?
They're good tea leaves to read. You know, it's interesting because a name that's been bandied about in the past that hasn't been lately is Elise Stefanik.
Oh,
if Trump were a strategist, actually that would be a really good VP pick. Because as a woman, she could probably, for them, mitigate some of the reproductive rights issues. She's from New York, so because New York plays so heavily in the race to get Democrats to be back in control of the House, it runs through New York. She's from New York, and it's his home state. So there are a lot of potential advantages with her, and she was, you know, sort of very outspoken and kind of shined during the grilling of the university presidents. But he's not that strategic. Loyalty is all that really matters to him. J.D. Vance, you know, comes from an important state for Republicans. He comes across as someone who's going to be sort of Trump's wingman, his right-hand man. I think he likes that sort of the persona of a J.D. Vance. So my guess is that that's the direction he's going to go in. But, you know, you never know with Donald Trump.
Well, he's also a misogynist, so that's the reason why he's not going to pick a woman. Molly, right now we're, 2 days out from this convention? We don't have a list of all of the names of the people that are going to be speaking there. We did hear, as we just discussed, Nikki Haley didn't get an invite, which was an obvious slight. But I feel like this RNC is going to be like CPAC on steroids. It's going to be something that we already know. It's the same people, the same messaging, the same story. The only kind of big question mark is the VP pick.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a lot of craziness. And we already know Marjorie Taylor Greene. We've seen it's, you know, what has been really helpful for Democrats is that Republicans are really ruled by the basest aspects of their base. So you have people in the remember, Democrats have it's not the same, but they have, you know, people who are more lefty, and those people don't get to speak at the convention, right? Because they are not running the party. Whereas in the right, you have these people who are totally different, but who are far right zealots who have crazy ideas. Marjorie Taylor Greene came up with, you know, came from the world of QAnon, right, and came from the world of these wild conspiracy theories. Remember space lasers, Jewish space lasers? So she's going to speak at the convention. So think about that. And what I think really does help Democrats is that this party is so far right and cannot temper its basest aspects that I do think that this convention will provide an opportunity to highlight that.
Like I said, CPAC on steroids. I mean, that's really what it's going to be. I mean, Basil, what is happening, though, is new, is Team Trump is really kind of upping their attacks on Kamala Harris. And it has nothing to do with the Biden kind of criticisms. I think it very healthily is because she's a very real threat. She is a female candidate. She's a woman of color. What does it say to you? Is it coinciding with the idea that Trump's about to announce his VP pick as well?
Well, there are a couple of things, and I'm going to say this and be in all fairness, because I've written about it. Our colleague Molly Jong-Fast has written about it. You know, Kamala has been under attack by both folks within her party, sadly, and certainly on the right. And we've certainly seen that pick up in the last few days. I think Sebastian Gorka called her colored, is the word that he used.
Yeah.
And so
DEI pick is what they said.
And the New York Post said she was going to be the DEI president. So there is a wave of criticism coming at her from the right. I actually don't think Democrats are prepared to withstand that, which is an issue that I pay a lot of attention to. But when the fact that it's coming from the right is a way to sort of suppress the interest in her and then continue to pump up Joe Biden so that we can continue to focus on the negative attention being placed on Joe Biden right now. It is a way to dismiss and reduce the entire Democratic ticket. at the same time. So, and remember, this is a message that's being sent primarily to independent voters, right? A lot of suburban voters that are coming from the right, because for his own base, it's sort of built in already, right?
Yeah.
But these are two independent voters that are going to pick up on this. Well, she's going to be vice president, but doesn't really deserve it, and that is an extraordinarily troubling line when you, of course, add in the race and gender aspects to this.
Molly, I got less than a minute. I want to stick on this, though, for a second, because I actually think that Basil's too elegant about it, because he's a very elegant guy. I think it's because they are as base as you talk about in the Republican Party, and because they are racist about Kamala Harris. And I also think it's because they want to keep, as Basil says, the negative attention on Joe Biden, which is not the right attention to be had. And so the one thing that Basil said that I want to follow up with you: is the Democratic Party prepared to be able to deal with the onslaught of the Kamala Harris attacks that we know are about to come?
Again, that's an impossible question to answer, but I would say this is a woman who was Attorney General. She was a senator. She had, she's the second black female senator in the Senate. I mean, this woman is a history maker. She has done incredible stuff. She's also become a 10 times better politician than when she started, right? I mean, we've seen in the last 4 years her grow to really own the issue of reproductive health. So I think she's become quite a gifted orator, which for this ticket is very useful. So I am a big fan of hers. I think that she's quite smart, and I think she's quite adept, and I think that she will end up being Joe Biden's greatest asset. Yeah. And I think that she, look, people are racist and sexist in this country. We know that. And that is why, it's 10 times harder for her. But she is also very, very good at this. I think she's become very, very good at this. So I am really looking forward to see what she does, because I think she really can do a great job here.
She's fantastic, and she's proven it. She's done it for 4 years. I mean, if there's anything experience to speak about, she's done it. So Basil Smikle Jr., Molly Jong-Fast, thank you guys for being here. I appreciate it. And coming up next, the Epstein files. We're going to debunk the misleading claims about the latest documents that were unsealed last week. So keep it right here to learn all about it.
What will you do when the power goes out? Power outages can be unpredictable and inconvenient, but with customers.
The number one thing to prepare for is extended power outages. Don't make it so hard on yourself. Have a Generac home standby generator.
And owning a generator is easier than ever. Special financing and low monthly payment options are available. And if you call now, you will also receive a free 5-year warranty valued at over $500. Call or go online now to request your free quote.
It happens. You rip, tear, and never have time to repair. Wait. Before you throw it away, let Mighty Mend It save the day. Hi, Billy Mays here for Mighty Mend It, the fast, easy way to mend, hem, and wear it again, saving you money. Mighty Mend It is not a glue, but a flexible bonding agent that grabs, adheres, and interlocks the fibers of virtually any fabric for a permanent repair. Sewing takes forever, but with Mighty Mend It, just apply, gently touch, and mend it. It has the strength to withstand storm force winds. Amazing. Easily mend a hem in your desk to look your best. Even if you sit and split, Mighty Mend It will quickly fix it. Mend pillows and comforters right on the bed, or make furniture repairs and save money. Mighty Mend It dries crystal clear and is safe for most any fabrics. Plus, it's machine washable. Even after 50 washes, the bond still stays strong. Whether it's denim, leather, or lace, you can use Mighty Mend It anytime, any place. We even repaired this parachute with Mighty Mend It, and it still has the strength to safely bring down this skydiver from 13,000 feet. Now that's the power of Mighty Mend It. Plus, it's ideal for scrapbooking or craft projects. You'll find hundreds of money-saving uses.
Call or go online to get the complete Mighty Mend It kit that includes one large bottle. But for everyone who orders today, we'll triple the bottles, plus give you a travel size and the money-saving idea guide, absolutely free. But we're not done. We'll also include a bottle of Gem It. Now you can add bling to just about anything, free. You get it all at incredible value for just $29.99. Order now.
Call 1-800-252-0173. That's 1-800-252-0173. Or go online to MightyMended.com.
So the connection between Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein isn't new news. Trump admitted he knew Epstein for 15 years, even stating that Epstein, quote, likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side. In 2021, as part of Ghislaine Maxwell's trial, it was revealed that Donald Trump lied about riding on Epstein's plane. He actually flew on it 7 times, but the flight logs do not include the ages of the passengers. Trump and Epstein were sued by a woman who went by the pseudonym Katie Johnson. Johnson alleged that Trump raped her at a party inside Epstein's New York home, but that case ended up getting dismissed by a federal judge, and then she herself dropped the lawsuit 2 more times, all in the span of 2016. And then there was another woman. Her name was Sarah Ransom. She claimed in 2016 that Trump, Bill Clinton, and others were involved in Epstein's sex trafficking scheme, but she ended up recanting those allegations 3 years later in 2019. But there's new misleading claims about Trump and Epstein, and they're circulating on social media after the Palm Beach County grand jury records from 2006 were unsealed. In the nearly 200 pages of grand jury testimony, though, Donald Trump isn't mentioned one time. So what's the real story for you? The real story is the way the prosecutors victim shamed and berated the victims. They were girls as young as 14 years old who had been sexually assaulted and manipulated by Epstein, Maxwell, and others. And those prosecutors just turned around 2 years later, knowing all of that they did, and they cut a sweetheart deal with Jeffrey Epstein. Joining me now is Holly Baltz, investigations editor at the Palm Beach Post. And Holly, I know you have been tip of spear on all things Epstein for a long time. Let's put it to bed, right? What exactly is this latest round of Jeffrey Epstein documents that came out?
Well, like you said, they're the unveiling of documents from the secret proceedings of grand jury in 2006. That our state attorney in Palm Beach County, Barry Krischer, took its case to. He was the first ever prosecutor to consider criminal charges against Epstein. And Palm Beach police, who'd investigated the case, had recommended 5 felony charges that would have put him in prison for life. But and had found nearly a dozen victims, but Krischer decided to take it to the grand jury. We learned in an investigation in 2019, sources told us that he had torpedoed that case in front of the grand jury. So we sued to get those documents unsealed under a tenet of Florida law that says the veil of secrecy can be pierced in furtherance of justice. So after 4.5 years, those documents were released, and they were pretty stunning. To sum it up, it was the prosecution of a prostitution case in which the girls were very much not only made to look like prostitutes, but they were actually called prostitutes. And so the prosecutors actually said, you're committing a crime. And there's more than that too. But to sum it up, they basically made the girls look bad. And the grand jurors started asking questions, and they picked right up on that tone when they did.
Yeah, Holly, the thing that really kind of struck me about it that was so horrifying was we know that Epstein was depraved, and we know that he didn't operate, in a silo. He actually had help from Ghislaine Maxwell and others. The thing that bothered me was this grand jury testimony was obtained in 2006. And like you said, the prosecutors accused these 14-year-old girls of being prostitutes and of committing crimes and really demeaned them in front of the eyes of the grand jurors. But 2 years later is when this sweetheart deal was negotiated with Epstein. And at that time, Alex Acosta, who served as the Secretary of Labor for Donald Trump and his administration, he was the U.S. Attorney in the Southern District of Florida at the time. And there were several others that were complicit in this sweetheart deal. it bothered me that the people, the prosecutors who were supposed to be defending these young victims, that they actually, like I said, they victim shamed them, they blamed them, and then turned around and made sure that Epstein basically got a cakewalk deal.
Yeah, what emerged from that grand jury was one count of solicitation of prostitution. But even before that grand jury convened, the Palm Beach police, both the chief and the investigating detective, were very concerned about Krischer's prosecution. In fact, the police chief had written a letter to him saying, you know, I think you need to consider stepping away from this. So they took it to the federal prosecutors and the FBI, who, you know, with Krischer actually put together that deal in which Epstein would plead guilty to one more prostitution-related felony and would go to jail, not prison. And, you know, the victims weren't notified of the court hearing in which he pleaded guilty. They weren't able to give an impact statement to the judge to tell her about, you know, how this had all affected them. And so, but if Krischer had done what the Palm Beach police recommended, well, you and I wouldn't be talking right now.
Well, I'm glad that there is, what did they say, Holly? Sunlight is the best disinfectant. I'm glad. I'm glad that this system that failed these poor women, young women, girls, that failed them so badly. Now there's maybe some measure of accountability, although you know what? A lot of it just didn't really happen. Holly Baltz, thank you for joining us, and thanks for your tenacity, excuse me, in pursuing all of this information. I really appreciate you being here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Coming up, Doctors for Democracy. With abortion rights taking center stage for many voters ahead of November, there are two doctors that are running for the chance to become the only OBGYNs on Capitol Hill that support abortion rights. I'm talking to one of them on how she's running to win in her deep red state, Dr. Kristen Lyerly. She joins me next.
Achy legs and painful arches? There's Copperfit Energy Socks for that. Our Easy On, Easy Off graduated compression socks to help reduce swelling, relieve tired, achy muscles, and provide energizing support. Now with arch support technology for targeted compression to help ease arch and ankle fatigue.
These were fantastic. The more I wore them, the better it got.
If you have to wear compression socks for whatever reason, these are a game changer.
Get Copperfit Energy Socks in these fine stores.
Is your shower trying to tell you something? It's time to love your shower again with Jacuzzi Bath Remodel. You can get a beautiful new bath or shower installed in one day. That's right, one day. And at a price you can afford. In fact, there's never been a more affordable time to call than now. With this Love Your Shower sale, we're waiving all installation costs and postponing all payments for up to 1 year, giving you the quality you deserve from a brand you trust at a price that won't break the bank. And when it comes to quality, Jacuzzi has been the most trusted name in water for more than 65 years.
I loved working with the Jacuzzi design consultants. They come with a variety of designs to choose from, and there really is an option for everyone.
Oh my gosh, look at the bathtub. Wow. Love taking a shower again. And every transformation features state-of-the-art materials that resist mold and mildew. No grimy grout to scrub. It just rinses clean, so you can spend less time cleaning and more time relaxing, because the only sound your bath should make is this.
Call or go online for a limited time offer. Only weeks left to get waived installation and no interest and no payments for up to 1 year. Go to jacuzzibathremodel.com or call 800-991-6549. That's 800-991-6549. Call now.
One way to avoid expensive car repair bills is to be a race car driver. The other is endurance. You could never pay for covered car repairs again.
In my first year with Endurance, they covered a $14,000 engine replacement.
As a certified mechanic, I always recommend that my customers have an auto protection plan. You never know when a breakdown can strike, and you need coverage that you can count on.
Without Endurance, Breakdowns can cost thousands. With Endurance, you're covered. Even better, you pick the mechanic you trust.
Endurance covers nearly every car on the road, up to 20 years old.
They cover a ton on the car.
So, who's going to pay for your next car repair? You or Endurance?
Act now for $300 off any plan. Plus a full year of elite benefits, a $2,000 value free, and a 30-day money-back guarantee. Call 1-855-629-0641 now for a free quote.
Senate Republicans this week doubling down on their extreme opposition to abortion rights by blocking legislation that would revive the protections of Roe v. Wade. The vote comes as abortion rights are expected to play a major role in the November election, with a recent Gallup poll finding a record high 32% of voters saying they will only vote for a candidate who shares their views on abortion. My next guest is zeroing in on that issue as she runs to be one of the only OBGYNs on Capitol Hill supporting your right to an abortion. Joining me now is Dr. Kristen Lyerly, an abortion provider and Democratic candidate for Congress in the state of Wisconsin. Doctor, thank you for joining me today. I mean, let's get the facts out there. There currently are no pro-abortion rights OBGYNs in Congress. Why do you think having someone like you with your experience is so critical in this moment?
Because we know the stories. Because we have the privilege of sitting in exam rooms with our patients, hearing their experiences and understanding what their lives are like and helping them solve some of the most intimate, important problems in their lives, not just as it affects them, but as it affects their families and their entire communities. And I got to tell you, Katie, everyone has a story. Young people, old people, men, women, it doesn't matter. All of our lives have been affected by reproductive health care issues. That's why we need a pro-choice OBGYN doctor in Congress.
So you've been fighting on the front lines, not only in your practice, but also in the court system. In 2022, you joined a lawsuit as a plaintiff to try to nullify an 1849 abortion ban that was revived when Dobbs overturned Roe v. Wade. Talk about what the status is of that lawsuit and why it was so important for you to make sure you were a part of it.
Hey, I'm so proud of my involvement in this lawsuit because we lost all access to abortion care after the Dobbs decision. So I joined with the Attorney General and we were victorious. My name appears on the judgment in Dane County Circuit Court that brought abortion back to Wisconsin. Recently, we found out that this case has been taken up by the Wisconsin Supreme Court, and we are anticipating oral arguments in October. So stay tuned.
So outside of abortion and healthcare, you're also focusing on strengthening the economy and investments in the rural community. You're making sure that your candidacy is not just focused on one issue, albeit an important one, but not just one issue. What's your message right now to the voters? Because your state is a pretty red state.
Well, it's a purple state.
Okay.
I mean, really, you know, Wisconsin it's flippable. And my district in particular is very flippable. We are famously independent. And what we're seeing in Wisconsin's 8th congressional district is, first of all, it's an open seat. We don't have representation right now. So there's not just a general election for my seat, but there's a special election. And that's why I will be the first pro-choice OBGYN elected to Congress. And not only that, but it's me, the OBGYN.
Spells heartburn. How do you spell relief? R-O-L-A-I-D-S. Rolaide's dual-active formula begins to neutralize acid on contact. Rolaide spells relief.
You ever try cash backing? It's earning 3% at drugstores with Chase Freedom Unlimited.
So I can save on something special for a first date.
Wait, that's all for a first date? Whoa. All right, come on. Earn big with Chase Freedom Unlimited with no annual fee. How do you cash back?
Look, we've all been there. Your AC decides to quit, turning your home into an unbearable sweatbox, and now you have to deal with it. Hi, I'm Joe, and this is why I invented iFlow, the world's first automatic AC drain line cleaning system to keep your AC going and the cool air flowing. Look, that's a drain pan overflow that damages ceilings and walls, and you're left to pay for it all. Here's why. A thick, slimy, sticky bacteria called Zuglia lives inside your drain pan and drain line, clogging it up and causing your AC to shut down. But don't worry. That's why I invented iFlow. iFlow is a smart, automated device that dispenses our proven bioenzymatic cleaning fluid that actively breaks down the Zuglia and flushes it out of the drain line, helping to prevent those costly clogs. And the best part is, installing iFlow is a breeze. Just stick it on the air handler, connect the iFlow, insert the cleaner cartridge, and you're good to go. And you don't have to be a pro to do it, because there's an iFlow app to help you through it.
For special money-saving deals, visit buyiflow.com.
This is Poof, the fastest growing pet odor eliminator in the world. Oh. It's safe for people, pets, and the planet. Powerful enough to eliminate the stink from any organic odor. Yet it's safe enough to use on pet toys, their beds, even on them. So why waste money on any product that doesn't totally eliminate the stink? There's only one Poof. Available online and at these stores. If it's not Poof, it stinks.
You know, there's this thing called age, and it sucks.
If you're over 50, imagine you could turn back the clock on your stiff, achy joints by years. Introducing InstaFlex Advanced.
It's restored my joints without just temporarily masking my symptoms. When you can find a product that can take that away to the point that you can live your life again, that is a miracle to me.
Get a complimentary sample by texting SECRET to 231231. InstaFlex Advanced targets the root cause of joint soreness and stiffness with a unique combination of 5 key natural ingredients. Key ingredients backed by 5 clinical studies.
I love this product. I'm telling you, it works.
InstaFlex Advanced is the #1 selling joint brand at GNC, but you can only get your complimentary sample by texting SECRET to 231231. Plus, text now, and we'll include a tube of InstaFlex pain cream for fast-acting relief absolutely free. Text SECRET to 231231 today.
A very good day to all of you from MSNBC World Headquarters here in New York. Welcome, everyone, to Alex Witt Reports. We begin with breaking news. In just the past hour, Independent Senator Bernie Sanders put out a new op-ed in the New York Times with a full-throated, unequivocal endorsement of President Joe Biden. We're going to have more on that in just a moment for you. And as the campaign season heats up, Republicans and Democrats are hitting the trail in the battleground state of Pennsylvania this afternoon. Vice President Kamala Harris will speak in Philadelphia in the next 2.5 hours or so, while Donald Trump will speak in Butler a bit later on this evening. So here's a live look at the city of Milwaukee. That is where officials are prepping for the Republican National Convention. Now just 2 days away, Trump is teasing his pick for vice presidential running mate, saying on a radio talk show, it is now down to North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum and Senators Marco Rubio, J.D. Vance, and Tim Scott. We've got some new numbers today. More than 24 million people watched President Biden's post-NATO press conference Thursday. And with the wind at his back, the president shifted his focus to Trump at a Friday campaign stop in Detroit.
He's filed bankruptcy 6 times. He even went bankrupt running a casino.